I'll be very honest, I didn't really want to find purpose in that. Sometimes, as we know, things come to us and it's
Mhm,
not maybe something we planned. And
mhm,
so for me, there was this deep longing in my heart of, gosh, I've been through so much. This was very challenging. I spent 9 months in the hospital with my son.
mhm,
And I'm like, why? This is a long time. 9 months in the
mhm.
hospital. It's a long amount of time. What is the point of it? What is the purpose?
All right, well, hey y'all, welcome to another episode of the Thrive Like a Mother podcast. And as you see, we have a very special guest on with us today. Her name is Onesa Anozie. And this show today, y'all, this is for the mamas, specifically the ones who keep showing up every single day, even when each day starts to feel heavier and heavier. And when you feel like things just feel like uncertain and things are just not happening as you thought they would be happening, right? Plans go awry. So my guest today, I'm so excited. She's a social worker, y'all. She's an author, she's a speaker, she's a medical mother coach. We're gonna get into what that means. And she is a mama of three. And then one of Anita's twin boys, he faced some difficult challenges when he was hospitalized for a long period of time. Had to undergo a kidney transplant. So her journey is one that truly teaches us, honestly, what it means to keep going in the face of uncertainty, in the face where you don't necessarily have control over what's happening. And it truly, her story is going to teach us like what it means to thrive, not from a place of perfection or performance, but truly, truly thrive. And my prayer as you listen to today's episode, I hope that it just reminds you that you're not failing if you're in one of those tough seasons that you are enduring. So let's get started. Anissa,
Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here.
Yeah.
And I want to jump kind of right in, right?
Okay,
We
let's
have
do
a lot to
it.
unpack, but when I asked you just about what your current season of life was, you said that it was one of the integration, where healing and purpose and motherhood, they all just intertwine. And so what does that look like for you day to day? What does that mean?
Oh, you started off with a deep one.
Yeah.
So for me, this is a different season. I believe
Mhm,
that life is a journey
mhm,
and it's filled with all different types of seasons. And
mhm,
so we have, had my single season where life
mhm.
was all about me. Then I got married and it was about me and my partner. And, now it's season of children
Yeah.
and it's been a very different season. And so I've had to heal from a lot and
Mhm,
through, what you mentioned, everything that I've gone through with my son, he had his own healing journey and it was very
mm,
much about his healing and him overcoming these kidney challenges and being in renal
mhm,
failure. But that led to my own healing and me needing to discover what does healing look like for me and then finding purpose in that. And so I'll be very honest, I didn't really want to find purpose in that. Sometimes, as we know, things come to us and it's
mhm,
not maybe something we planned. And
mhm,
so for me, there was this deep longing in my heart of, gosh, I've been through so much. This was very challenging. I spent 9 months in the hospital with my son.
mhm,
And I'm like, "Why? This is a long time. 9 months in the
mhm,
hospital, it's a long amount of time. What is the point of it? What is the purpose?" And so, as we're going along this journey with my son's health, I just had this pull on my heart that I wanted to give back. I'm like, "Gosh, I know how
mm,
hard it is, 1, to be a mom, and then
mhm,
to have a child who has medical challenges. I wanna be able to support that mother. I wanna be able to give any nuggets of wisdom and knowledge that I have so that
yeah,
they can thrive
yeah,
and be able to overcome as well, and so this season has been diving into that, and so, like I said, it kinda came to me where I didn't necessarily want this to be my purpose to
Mhm.
focus on medical motherhood, but it's my story. And the reality is that you can't change your story. Your story and what you've been through is what you've been through. You can't say, "Oh, I want to have a different story. I want to change it." And so I had to settle into that reality of this is the path that I'm on. This is
Yeah.
what happened to me. And I felt this longing in my heart from God, like, hey, share the story, tell the
Mm,
story. And so that's where I've kind of rolled in a lot of my motherhood into sort of this purpose of giving back and supporting and coaching other moms who've been through the same thing that I've been through. So
mm,
right now, when you say to my day to day is one, showing up and saying, how can I, one, love on myself
mhm.
and allow me to be the mother that I need to be for my children, for my husband, be what I need to be for, as a wife, but then also how can I give to this medical motherhood community and other mothers as well. And so honestly, I'm on a journey that's kind of day by day. This is a season that looks so different, but I
Mhm.
found purpose in really supporting these other mothers and wanting to be a voice. You get one life, you get one story,
That's
and
true.
why have a closed mouth and not share that story? Although I don't
Yeah.
believe everyone has to share their story, but if you feel that
Yeah.
deep longing in your heart, share it. And so
Yeah.
in me doing that, it's also healing for me. I remember there's days where I'm writing a Instagram post
Yeah.
or preparing for a YouTube video and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm feeling this. This is
Yeah.
healing
I
for
needed
me."
this.
Yeah, I needed this as I'm processing and sharing to other mothers.
So powerful and
Yeah.
so timely. Because I know I shared with you when we met that
Mhm.
I was going to be sharing my story in a book.
Mhm.
And going into that process, when you're in something like what you went through, or even something that I went through, sometimes it can feel so lonely,
Mhm.
right? Like, am I the only one going through this? And I think, like you said, not everyone has to share their story, but there are people like you and me who feel that tug and say, no,
Mhm.
this story can change or impact someone's life, or just help them see that they're not alone in what they're going
Mhm.
through. I'm just so grateful that you're on this journey. There's so many mothers out there who need your support, who need to see that there is hope, and also just need the tools to feel like how they can be in it, but still be them, still know that there is beauty on the other side,
Mhm.
right? Gosh, so ooh, this is this is a heavy one, but with your son, right? Finding out his diagnosis, finding out that you guys were needing to stay in the hospital for such a long period of time, how were you able to hold grief and gratitude at the same?
Another great one. So for me, gratitude is so big. I've been
Mhm,
practicing gratitude for years now, even before the challenges with my son and before having my daughter. And so I do believe in the power of showing up every day and finding something to be grateful for, right? And it's not a comparison of this person's life is worse than mine, so I should be grateful. It's not
mhm,
really that and looking down on someone else and sort of having this superior mindset, but it's looking at your life and saying there's something that I can be grateful for. There's some hope, there's some positivity that I can hold on to because it
mhm,
shifts the way that you think, it shifts your mindset, your emotions. And I think there's that reality, but then at the same time, we have to be authentic and
mhm,
hey, you know what? I really am. There's grief here. And so for me as
mhm,
a mother, I grieved not having the beautiful twin experience that
mhm.
I wanted, that I was, pinning pictures on Pinterest. And
Yeah.
I had this whole vision of what being a mom of three would be like and having twins and beautiful black boys and all
Mhm,
those different things. And so there's definitely been grief in that. And so holding it is a matter of acknowledging, hey, you know what? This really hurts. This is
mhm,
not what I wanted my life to be like.
mhm,
And I feel the pain of that. But at the same time, I'm so grateful, and for me, I can go down the list. Many people with the diagnosis that I had, sometimes both of the babies don't make it. Both of my children, both of the boys made it, although they're not in the health that I wanted them to be in. Hey, they're alive.
mhm,
They're here. There was a moment where the doctor said he was gonna pass away, and we started
mhm,
talking about advanced directives, and so but
mhm,
no, he's still alive today, and so although I wanted him to have a different type of healing. He didn't get that, but he
Yeah.
got a kidney transplant. And so I
Mhm.
think there's, yes, holding that grief and not stuffing it down and being authentic in those emotions. Right? I'm grieving, this hurts, this is painful, but you know what? There's another side of it that I can look at
Mhm.
that I can be grateful for what I have. And so that's kind of holding both. It's not denying one and, shutting down feelings and all that, but it's saying, hey, there's so much to be grateful for. And that's even how I live my life. Even the last couple of days, I wake up
Yeah.
sometimes and I'm not feeling that spark and that energy and that excitement.
Mhm.
And I just sit, I'm like, you know what? I'm sitting in a house
Mhm.
that's warm. I have food,
Yes.
you know, my children are here, and maybe some things aren't the way that I want them to be, but gosh, I'm so blessed. I'm
Mm.
so much to be grateful for. And so I kind of shift out of it. And I'm like, okay, all right, I got a new day. I'm alive.
Yes.
I'm in my right mind. I got my two legs that I'm walking on. I'm in good health. And so, gratitude, it can be over talked about, but also underutilized. I think everyone's like, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
be grateful.
Yeah.
There's so much to it. There's so much power in it.
Yeah. We agree. And
So,
then there's just that it's a part of the human experience, right? I love that you share in that way of just like not shoving those feelings
mhm,
aside. Like those still matter. You're
mhm,
still allowed to feel those, to acknowledge them and be like, yeah, those are there and else. Great. Goodness. Okay.
mhm.
So, a lot of what you share, especially just in your book, y'all, She Found Peace. We're going to talk about that in a bit. But a lot of what you share is definitely centered around redefining what thriving means for you, especially for, each individual person, figuring out what that means for you. How has your definition of thriving changed us throughout your journey?
Gosh, it has changed so much for me. Anyone who knows me, I'm like, I'm gonna thrive. I'm gonna
Mhm.
be the best. I'm gonna be, I'm gonna overcome whatever challenges. And so I'm all about thriving in every season, and I don't feel like you have to be, oppressed or bogged down,
Mhm.
whether, you're in motherhood or working full time. I believe there's a way to thrive. And so, yes, sort of getting hit in my gut with this change
Mhm.
in reality and moving from one child to having three kids and the
Mhm.
medical challenges, the definition has really changed.
Mhm.
And for me, I believe it's very subjective. Thriving for me can mean something that, and thriving is different for you. And so
Mhm.
for me, it's about kind of level setting and saying, hey, what season am I in? And evaluating. I've got three children, whether I'm working full time or not, or, I evaluate what's happening in my life. And then from there, I look at what would it look like to thrive? What does that mean
Mhm.
for me? And so there was a time where thriving meant me signing up to run a marathon. And you
Yeah.
know what? I'm going to be fit. I'm going to be
Mhm.
active. I'm not going to let this situation that I'm in stop
Mhm.
me from feeling amazing
Yeah.
and exercising and getting fit. And so there was that season where to me that felt like thriving. I needed that for my mental and emotional health. So I said, I'm going to sign up for a marathon and I'm going to do this. And I'm gonna thrive. I'm gonna wake up early and I'm gonna feel great and I'm gonna eat well. And that was a period where I felt like, man, I'm thriving. I'm working full time. I got three. So that's what it meant. So for me now, thriving is just having a consistent routine and
Mhm.
flow to my life. It's not necessarily running the marathon. It's, hey, I want to wake up and I want to focus on taking my vitamins every day
Yeah.
and having a consistent routine and focusing on building muscle and being present, having enough energy to be present with my kids. So to me, a lot
Mhm.
of thriving is how am I being present in my marriage for my
Mhm.
husband? Do I have enough energy? Am I, in tune for my children? Am I a present mother or am I so
Yeah.
disconnected where, they're there, but then I'm not there? And so to me, thriving is do I have enough energy and mental
Mhm.
clarity to say, hey, in that moment, hey, I'm with my child. Hey,
Yeah.
how are you doing?
Mm.
What's going on? To me, that's thriving. Thriving is, yeah, eating things that I know are gonna fuel my body and make me feel well, movement, exercise, all those different things. So for me, it does change with every season and I honor that. I'm like, "Hey, this is not the season for me to be doing XYZ. This
Mhm.
is a season to maintain consistency, get into routines, focus on organizing my home. And so I think it's so different, and the beauty of life is we get to define what that means. We get to set the standard for every season of our lives
Mhm.
and decide what it truly means to thrive. And that's I don't have to compare myself to you. I don't have to compare myself to social media influencer and say,
Mhm.
"Hey, for me, for Anissa, what does that look like?"
Yeah, I love that. Or even just comparing yourself
Mm,
to yourself.
that part.
There were seasons, especially going from being a mom of 1 to being a mom of 2, then being a mom of 3, where sometimes I would catch myself and say, "Wow, well," especially that 2 to 3 transition. I looked at my routines and I said, "Why isn't this working? Why can't I go back to being the 5 AM girly?" It's just not happening. I had to let it go, but then I
Mhm,
also, like you said, you just have to honor, like, where you're at now and figure out, "Okay, I can't be the 5 AM girly right
mhm,
now, but what things can I implement in my life to bring in some more of that consistency that I do love, bring in that routine that literally fuels me up so I can pour into my kids, my
mhm,
husband, my job, this community." I had to like really dig deep. You have to kind of get explorative with yourself,
mhm,
ask yourself those questions. And sometimes, you try things and there's like, you know what? This is not a fit. Let's try something else. So just
mhm.
definitely making it a time of exploration when you're in between those seasons, trying to figure out, what it means for you to thrive in that season. Um, for the moms that think that their definition of thriving means having it all together, how can we help them release that belief?
Thriving, meaning it's all together. So I think we have to embrace that this journey of motherhood is going to have a lot of imperfections. And
Mhm.
so sometimes we want to have every box checked for the week and we want to, okay, I did my all my
Yeah.
routines and I got everything together. And I think releasing that and understanding that as mothers, we have to almost build in a certain
Mhm.
percentage of grace to give
Yes.
ourselves because holding that rigid thought of, oh, I have to have it all together to be
Mhm.
considered thriving is going to be very stressful. And
Mhm.
so for me, I'm going to drop some balls. I dropped a ball this week and well, it almost got dropped. And I was reminded of something I didn't add to the calendar for the kids. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, their award ceremony." So I called another mom and I'm like, "Hey, can you send me the picture? I wanna make
Mhm.
sure it's not happening right now." And
Yeah.
so I didn't have it all together,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking and I just thought I settled in, "Oh my gosh, I'm adding everything to the calendar. Everything's
Yeah.
together. I'm thriving. I got the, phone calendar, refrigerator calendar.
Yes.
I'm good." And then
All
I'm like,
together.
"Oh my gosh." And so I didn't have it all together, but I still in my mind I'm thriving because I'm hitting that 80%, I'm hitting that
Mhm.
75%.
Yeah.
And so I think it's having grace on
Mhm.
ourselves to say, hey, mistakes are going to happen.
Yeah.
We're going to drop balls. We're not always going to have it together. And just releasing a little bit just to know, hey, I think thriving can also be a mindset. If you
Mhm.
perpetually in your mind, you're like, I'm not thriving, and you feel like
Mm.
thriving is something externally that you're constantly running towards. We're like, no,
Yes.
it's within me. I have
Yes.
it. Every day I show up
Mhm.
and you know what? I give 100%. I give my best. And maybe I wasn't able to get 100% of the things done.
Yeah.
Maybe I got 40. Maybe I got 50 or 60, whatever that percentage is. I think if you can settle at the end of the day and say, I did my best. I was a little
Yeah.
tired. Maybe, physical things are going on certain times of the month. And,
Yeah.
you're just like, hey, I did my best, or it's like
Exactly.
one of your kids got sick
Mhm.
or the school got shut down. And so all those things are gonna come, but to me, it's a lot of it is mindset, Is your mindset that I'm thriving? Like, what is your standard? And so
Mhm.
I think we don't realize how much of a high standard we put on
Mhm.
ourselves, which causes a lot of stress, anxiety, and worry.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need that other mom in your life to be like, "Hey, girl, it's okay.
Yeah.
I dropped the ball too.
Mhm. Me
I feel like a
too.
failure. We're good.
Right.
Like, you're human and you're normal." Like, and I think that's the thing is embracing our humanity, and that's what I have to do.
Mhm.
Hey, listen, we are not robots. We are
Yes.
not We're
Superheroes.
not superheroes. We are literally in this fleshly body.
Mhm.
We are human and
Yeah.
things are gonna happen. And all the mamas are making mistakes. We may not post them on social media or
Mhm.
online, but listen, we're making
Yeah,
mistakes.
happening.
We're dropping balls and that's life.
I love that, I love that. Okay, so moving on. I love that this is going this way because when we're talking about, like, dropping the ball, you put it so beautifully, right? That grace, we have to include that just in our daily lives. Things are just gonna happen. And I feel like you answered this question, but let's go deeper on, like, what that self-compassion looks like. Because what I hear you saying is the grace, right? Our words that we say to ourselves are so powerful. Um, can you share with our listeners just some ways they can start to integrate that self compassion within themselves, start to make sure they have that set level of grace daily?
Yes. So I love talking about self-compassion. I would have
Mm.
said it, but I didn't want to jump ahead. So really self-compassion, what is it? It's when you look at some of the root words, it's how do you suffer well with
Mhm,
yourself, right? You may be
mhm,
going through a difficult situation, but how are you with yourself in that suffering and in that hard time? And so self compassion is really treating yourself like you would a good friend.
mm,
So if you have a friend who's going through a hard time, maybe she missed a couple of deadlines, maybe she feels like she yelled at her kids. What would you say to that friend? You would say,
mhm,
hey, you know what? We all make mistakes. You know, you would
mhm.
encourage that friend. And so self compassion is really extending yourself that same compassion that you would a friend.
Yeah.
And for some reason, it's so hard for us to do that. It's so easy for me to jump in and be like, hey, girl,
Yeah,
it's
it's
okay. You showed
okay.
up late. It's all
Mhm,
good. But when it comes to ourselves, we don't know what's happening, but we have this internal voice that is so negative and that is
mhm.
constantly just spewing negativity at us. And so self compassion is really, hey, I'm going to treat myself with the same compassion and kindness that I would a friend. And so, how to
Mm,
begin to implement that is really having those moments where you pause and you're like, okay, this is really difficult. How am I being with myself in this moment? How am I treating myself? What are the words that are coming to my mind? Is it you're a failure? You always do
yeah.
this. This is the same thing you do every time. You're a terrible
Mhm.
mother. You're a terrible partner. It's being
Oof.
saying, "Hey, you know what? That's not true. The
Yeah.
reality is maybe this happened,
Mm,
but the truth is that, hey, I am a good mom. I do
mhm,
show up most of the time." And then you start to counter that negativity with
mhm.
the truth and the reality. Practicing self-compassion is really starting with those moments of pause. And the research says when it comes to resiliency is
Mhm,
how quickly can I bounce back? How quickly can I if I have a terrible or a tough situation, how quickly can I bounce back from it and be
mhm.
mentally and emotionally okay?
Yeah.
And so the research says the more we can use self compassion and be kind and compassionate to ourselves, the more likely we are to be resilient and
Mhm.
to really overcome that fear, that anxiety, all of those different emotions. And so that's research back. You can look it up.
Yes.
um, and so self compassion is so powerful. And for me, I had to lock into that very quickly, having a
Mhm.
child who had some different medical needs. And I'm sure your listeners,
Yeah.
they may have a kid who's autistic
Mhm,
or maybe has ADHD or maybe something
mhm.
that's not physically externally visible,
Yeah.
but there may be, a little bit of difference. That child may not be normal. And so when you have that,
Mhm.
you have to be very compassionate with yourself
Yes.
because listen, you're doing your best, but this is not your quote unquote normal child. They're dealing with some different things
Yeah.
that causes extra emotional and mental strain on you. And so going through that, you have to offer yourself a lot of self-compassion and
Oh,
say,
yeah.
"Hey, you know what? This is difficult, but I'm going to be compassionate with myself. I'm going to take a pause. I'm going to hold myself. I'm going to ground myself
Mhm.
for a second. Just another quick example of what can be done. Maybe we're having a difficult moment with the kids. Maybe we're
Mhm.
overwhelmed. We're stressed.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
just running around. You're just like, dude, I'm going to
That
lose it.
overstimulate.
Yeah, I'm overstimulated. And sometimes it's just going to the restroom, it's
Mhm.
going to your room, literally putting your hand on your heart and saying, you're okay.
Mhm.
You're doing a great job. You're doing the best that you can. take a moment, you need this moment, and then enter back into whatever you're doing with the
Yes.
kids or at home. And that rather than beating yourself up the whole day,
Yeah.
oh, this is going bad. I'm
Yeah.
yelling or everything's disorganized. Hey, you know what? Take that moment,
Mm.
give yourself that compassion and you're going to have a much better day moving forward.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
guarantee if you take that moment
Yeah.
to give yourself a little bit of self compassion.
Yeah. That shift, right? Of first 2 points. I always love the one, would I say this to my best friend? If the answer is no, you
Mm,
should not be saying it to yourself. But then also just that those moments of shift, because those voices, they're gonna be loud. They're gonna be in your ear. You have
mm.
to start being aware of, okay, I wouldn't say this to my best friend. How would I speak to her? And like you said, just really just taking that moment. Like my favorite spot sometimes it's the closet, because it's like, my kids will come find me in the bathroom, so we can't go there. But the closet, they're like, "Oh, she's not in there."
Mm,
Totally in there taking a second. So wherever that place is for
mm.
you, even if it's just if you can't physically go somewhere, even if it's just sometimes I'll tell my kids, "Hey, I need a second," and I will just stand there and close my eyes. And sometimes I'll tell them too, I'll invite them, I say, "Let's take a deep breath together because we both need some regulation right now."
Uh-huh.
So I feel like there's your permission to just breathe, right?
Mm.
That yes, you have to be a mother, but shift that to no, I don't have to be, I get to be. And how do you want to show up? Right. And it's not, pushing past your emotions of I'm feeling overstimulated or I'm feeling overwhelmed. It's being aware and then moving forward accordingly. Taking, like Anissa said, taking that second, go take a break, come back with that shifted mindset. Okay, so let's see. I want to talk about community because I feel like in being a medical mom, in being a mother in general, sometimes there are those moments where we feel like we are alone or we are handling so much by ourselves, right? Taking care of the kids or dealing with a medical challenge, having to show up differently in different situations. What role does community or has it even played in your life, to help you just feel, like, less alone?
So for me, entering onto this journey, so let me back up. So people in my community hadn't really experienced what I experienced. And so it was kind of what you mentioned at the beginning of our conversation is, I started looking for other moms who were on a similar journey. And it was
Mhm.
honestly very hard to find.
Yeah.
Granted, I was trying to get really granular with, okay, let me find a twin mom who's
Yeah.
had this specific
Yeah.
diagnosis and situation. And so I wanted to have hope. That's what I was
Mhm.
looking for. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, let me see. Is there another mom who, has had this? What does her life look like? What are they
Mhm.
doing? What do the kids look like? And so, in my low moments, I would just search the internet looking for that. And I
Yeah.
didn't always find it, unfortunately. And that was one of my passions behind wanting to put my information out there on the
Mhm.
internet because I wanted people to know, hey, you're not alone. And
Yeah.
if you have a situation that's like mine, hey, there's hope. And so, but yeah, so what I did, I went online and I looked, and I honestly didn't really find a lot. I found some Facebook groups here and
Yeah.
there, and
Mhm.
everything that I went through in the beginning was during COVID-19. And so
Mhm.
there really wasn't, you're not gathering with
Yeah.
people. But I found community with the other mothers in the hospital, and some of them to
Mm.
this day I'm still connected with.
Yeah.
But we sort of had that connection of, wow, we're in the same situation. There's different nuances and things with our children, but we had this bond. And so I can't say that in close proximity I found
Mhm.
community, but I found community in people who had similar situations. And so we
Mhm.
connected, whether it was over the internet, whether it was, on Facebook or Instagram, making those connections was big for me. And then just continuing to plug into my friend community, and I'm at the place where everyone in my physical community does not live where I live. We're all
Yeah.
sort of spread out. But to me, and I think it's personality wise, and you also have to know yourself. For me,
Mhm.
I don't have to physically be with someone to feel connected and
Mhm.
close. If we're talking on the phone or
Yeah.
FaceTime, I feel so filled and
Yeah.
connected. But I understand for some, you need that actual physical connection. I need to find a
Mhm.
local group. I need
Yeah.
to literally be with another human and
Yeah.
touch them and
Yeah.
see them. That wasn't me. And so I think we're all different. And that's the
Mhm.
beauty of life is like, hey, some of us have different needs. And so for me, it was just a need to know that I wasn't alone, whether,
Mhm.
it didn't need to be in person. I was satisfied by just having that connection online and via phone and FaceTime and things like that. And so it was definitely nice to know, hey, I'm not alone. And then I would find some podcasts to
Yeah.
listen to. I'm like, okay, these are my besties. They got a new
Yes.
show on, and I would listen in and feel like, hey, there's someone else out there that also doesn't have a perfect life or a
Yeah.
perfect story.
Love that. I love that. But for the mama who is listening, we've talked a lot about overwhelm, overstimulation, feeling alone, or just feeling like there's not enough of me, right, to go around. What is like one gentle step she can take today just to take care of herself this week?
Step. I would say one thing you could do to take care of yourself is mindset shift. Anybody
Hmm.
didn't expect that one.
Bring it back. Yeah.
But I think sometimes caring for ourselves is saying, hey, sometimes we can have different goals or things that we've been trying to set out to do, but we haven't been able to do. And we're just bogged down. We're like,
Hmm.
gosh, I don't even know if I can start. And,
Hmm.
I know this thing would make me feel better, but you just feel like you're so many days behind or you
Yeah.
started it and you stopped. And I would say one great thing you can do today is to look at your list or look at, whatever you have going on and say, hey, what is one step within the step or what is one thing within the goal or that I can do, even if it's small, that I know
Yeah.
is going to move the needle and bring me joy
Mm.
and happiness. And that might be, hey, you know what? I can't be the 5 a.m. girly, but you know what I can be is I can wake up maybe 10 minutes before
Hmm.
that time or 15 minutes before just to have me time because I know it may be hard, but I know that time, whether it's to meditate, whether it's to
Hmm.
pray, whether it's to read, that is going to be a game changer for me. Or maybe it's at the end of the night. Maybe that's your time. Because some people are not early risers. Some people are like, you know what, my time is in the evening. My brain
Hmm.
comes alive. That's not me. But that's, we're all different. So some people, it's like,
Yeah.
you know what, take that small moment for you. And I would
Mhm.
say, just do it. This is your reminder because I know it's on your I know it's something that you wanna
Mhm.
do, but you're
Push it
thinking so
off.
big picture and you're like, "Oh,
Mhm.
well, if I don't do the 2-hour blog or if I don't
Yeah.
do my whole journal meditation, all these different
Mhm.
things, it's not worth anything." Just take that one little step. So if
Mm.
it's that quiet time that you really been wanting to have, but you haven't been able to do, or if it's a reminder to take those vitamins or take the walk, even if it's not a 20-minute one, maybe it's just a 5-minute walk just to think or to have a conversation with a friend. I would say just what you can do for yourself is think of the smallest step. If you're struggling with something and you're like, oh, it's too big, just think of the tiniest thing.
Yeah.
And that will be such a gift to yourself. And you'll feel so good. You'll feel
Mm.
accomplished. And then be proud of yourself. Even if it's just
Yeah.
little, a 10% that you did, be like, you know what? I'm so proud of myself. I'm going to
Yes.
celebrate this win, and just gas yourself up. Tell your
Mm.
friend, like, listen,
Yes.
what was great today is
Yes.
I took a 5-minute walk and I
Yes,
got fresh
girl.
air and I did a little stretch up or I did whatever,
Yes.
and so just do that one small thing and then
Mhm.
celebrate it.
Yes. I feel like the celebration piece is so important because sometimes we can get in that flow of just like, okay, we're checking the things off, we're doing the thing. And it's like, wait, pause. Like you did a
Mhm.
thing today that brought you joy. Let's celebrate that. Or you made a step in a larger goal that maybe feels like really large and you're like, how am I gonna get through this? But you took that one step.
Mhm.
Like celebrate that.
Yeah.
Celebrate it.
And I know it's hard. That's one of
Yeah.
my biggest struggles is celebration piece. I'm
Yes.
not that great with it, but I'm working on it
Yes.
this year.
Okay. So, Anissa, thank you for bringing us just so much honesty, wisdom, vulnerability. I want like every single mom listening to this to like let this be a reminder that being a mother is not measured by like the things that we do, but it's measured by like how deep. the people in our lives, our families, but also ourselves, right? Don't forget about you. And just how gently you can take care of yourself because that ripples into everybody else. So I want you to share more about your book and then just how our listeners can stay connected with you, continue to follow your journey, support. Maybe there's moms out there who are needing to get plugged into your community. All the
Okay.
things.
So in terms of how you can find me is I'm on primarily Instagram, and Facebook and on YouTube. So Instagram, you can find me Onesa Anozie. And then also on Instagram, I have She Found Peace. And then on Facebook, you can find me under Onesa Anozie. And then YouTube, I have a She Found Peace page with tons of videos and just support and encouragement. So feel free if you are a medical mother or if you know someone who is, or you hear that they have their baby that's in the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit, and you know they have a long road ahead, feel free to plug them into me or plug them into my different sites. So yes, I have my book, She Found Peace, and I can't even believe I'm almost coming up on my 2-year
Oh,
anniversary of
wow.
writing this book. This book was geared towards moms who are in the hospital with their baby, and most of the time when you're in the hospital, the focus is on the baby because we
Mhm.
wanna get that baby home, we want them to thrive, we want them to
Yeah.
be healthy, and so a lot of times the mom can be forgotten, and no one's really thinking about her mental and emotional health, and so
Mhm.
this book is great whether you have a baby who's in the hospital or not. I think it's still a really great resource. I try
Mhm.
to make it very practical and give you tools on really navigating this journey and how do you overcome those mental and emotional challenges where you're,
Mhm.
dealing with the mom guilt and the shame and you're just figuring out how am I going to really thrive? How will I get through this? And so it's a practical guide. Like I said, whether you were in the NICU and you're still managing some of the trauma or some of the difficulties with that, or if you know someone, feel free to find the book. You can find it on shefoundpeace.com or it's also on Amazon. If you want to get it immediately, you can do
Mhm.
that. So, yeah, it's an incredible resource. And I'm grateful that I was able to put that out there in the world for any mom who ends up in that situation.
Yes, we so
So,
needed it,
mhm,
so needed it, so I'm grateful, and just thank you for coming onto the pod. I know there are a lot of listeners out there, who are gonna find connection in your story, whether they're a medical mom or not. That's what I
right.
love just about Anissa, so thank you, and we will see you on the next episode.